Welcome to Paddle Her Way, presented by Girl Paddlers. I'm your co-host, BobbieAnne, and
Sonya.
our founder. This is our first episode. Welcome in. We have a lot in store for you. Today, we are going to break down what the podcast is going to be about, give you an introduction to us, and give you some previews of what to expect moving forward.
Awesome. So we get moving into who we are. Bobby Ann, who are you?
I am the community manager of Girl Paddlers. We are going on, year 3 now?
I think so. What does a community manager mean?
It is all encompassing. I do social media, I do event planning, I do all of our community management through the online community. So we have a Facebook community called Girl Paddlers, and that's where all of the community stuff happens. We have some sub communities. We're branching out to different states, and then we have our main community where all the magic happens as well. Everything that happens on the back end, that's me.
Awesome. And we're also branched out beyond the United States, right? So we're also international in Europe and Australia, New Zealand, Canada. So basically your role is to make sure we have a great engaging community, and that's both online as well as offline. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing offline.
Offline, we have branched into planning some events this year. So we did our first inaugural event last year, and from that, it has blossomed into a full calendar of retreats this year. So all of that is being planned behind the scenes by me and you, and I'm going to be the one that's showing up and hosting and hanging out with you guys when you join us on our retreats.
Yeah, so maybe when we'll go into a little bit more detail, I think onto in the retreats in a little bit, but just a little bit about myself. I'm Sonya Schweitzer. I founded Girl Paddlers about 4 years ago in 2020, and the way this came about is I saw a gap. I was looking for gear. I was looking for some T-shirts and some hats and things like that really resonated with me, and I couldn't find it. I found some cutesy kind of things, but I didn't really find what I was looking for. So I was like, oh, let me start a t-shirt brand. So I started a t-shirt brand, and then I realized that it wasn't really about the t-shirts. I really was looking for that community, and I was in a lot of groups online, and in subgroups and paddleboard groups and kayak groups, and most of them were co-ed. What I did find was that when conversations started, they were heavily dominated by the guys in the group, which is great. It just meant that the female voice didn't really get heard, and we have a very different paddling experience than men do. So I started Girl Paddlers as a group on Facebook, and it kind of evolved from there, where we started the core group. We had a page. People were, buying some of our gear and following us on Instagram, following us on Facebook, and in the group. And then we kept evolving that group into subgroups. And so, yeah, it really became more about community than a product per se. There was like, how can we create this environment that empowered women so they felt safe and in an environment where they could ask the dumb questions without any judgment, and it didn't matter what you paddled. You could paddle a kayak, a canoe, a paddleboard, anything really, as long as you just were out on the water. That was the criteria. So that's where Go Paddlers have started, and then BobbieAnne came on board, like she said, a couple of years ago, and then really focusing on that community evolution. And in the past year, where we've brainstormed ideas how can we get Go Paddlers offline and into more of a face-to-face community where people are meeting and encouraging each other and empowering each other to get out on the water and celebrate just being on the water. So we've had meetups last year in 2024, and then this year we've had the longer extended stay retreats where people come for a weekend, and we do things like paddling with manatees, which we just recently had in Crystal River. So that's kind of the history of Go Paddlers and how it started. And it is a second job for myself and BobbieAnne. I think for BobbieAnne it's kind of the primary, but for me it's a secondary job right now. But it's a business we want to keep growing, and a community what we want to keep going so that it's just self-sustaining and that we are able to support the community kind of full-time in creating these great experiences online and offline. So yeah, that's I guess the history of Girl Paddlers, and with that evolution comes Paddle Her Way, the podcast. So yeah, what did I miss in covering the history?
I think that you actually nailed all of it right from the get go. Yeah. So you had mentioned that you had started it as a t-shirt company, but there was also some different aspects of it as far as, who you were trying to find in different communities and why it blossomed into being like open to all. Who is the community for?
It's for any woman who wants to kind of embrace the lifestyle of being on the water, and whether it's a canoe, paddleboard, kayak, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if you're paddling on lakes, rivers, ocean. It's just about the lifestyle and supporting each other. So it doesn't matter if you know highly skilled professional, um, or brand new and have no idea what you're doing. We've all been there, we've all started there. I would never call myself an expert paddler by any means. I paddle for fun, and I paddle a kayak, and I paddle a paddleboard, and I'm not good at either. I just like being on the water, and I make mistakes. I don't have all the gear, but I've had people encourage me to get out there and be with them, to support me getting out and learning new things, how to better my experience on the water. And so that's what that kind of environment is what we're trying to create with Girl Paddlers, is that supportive, nurturing nature of women who just want to help other women get out there and have some fun and have some kind of solitude, but in a group and community environment.
I think we've got a lot of different ways that we're doing that right now, too, between the free meetups and the retreats. What are some things that we have on the horizon that some of the girls can look forward to?
Yeah, we the meetups are kind of our base level of events, and that's where in our subgroups, our regional groups, we have moderators who are fantastic. They're organizing meetups for a couple of hours on a weekend or a weekday, and it's in a good central area where it's accessible for most people to get to. So that's our base level. Those are all free events. We just support them. We provide an environment where you'll be in a supportive place, even if you're a beginner. From there, we go to our retreat level or overnight stays, and we'll have some overnight stays where it's just you show up on a Friday afternoon and you leave on a Saturday afternoon. Those ones may have some kind of marginal cost to them just for an accommodation and maybe for food. Our retreats are where it's a whole experience, where everything is, for the most part, it's all inclusive. You just show up. You can show up with your vessel, or you can just show up and there'll be vessels available. Accommodations covered, food's covered. So we did that recently in Crystal River. Last year we had one in Tennessee. This year we have, I think, 6. Maybe you can probably tell us where they all are, because I can't remember them all. But we've tried to provide a variety in a number of locations, and there are more being added to the calendar, but a variety of them at different levels, different types of experiences. So you won't show up and the same experience will happen for each of these. These will be entirely different experiences for each of the retreats. So BobbieAnne, I'm going to throw it back to you. What are some of the events we've got coming up this year from the retreat perspective?
I'm so excited that we have a full schedule this year. As I mentioned, last year we had our first inaugural retreat in Tennessee, Burgess Falls, and that was right at the end of the season. So we didn't really get time to gear up and do a full season of retreats. So this will be our first full blown season. First up, we have got, we're doing a collaboration in Madison, Indiana. This really cute this really cute town that is set right off of a state park in Clifty Falls. So that one's going to be great. We're going to have some paddleboarding. We'll have options. And I should mention, all of our retreats are open to all vessels. So where they might have a focus on one or the other, you're always welcome to bring your own vessel, paddle whatever you want to paddle. So yeah, we're gonna have that's gonna be our kickoff to the season. We also have some Mother Day meetups happening all over. We have a few of those that are popping up. It's retreat wise, one of the ones that I'm very excited about, and this is the first type of retreat that we've done of this kind, is a private island camping trip. So this is out in Pennsylvania. It is another woman-owned company as well. It's a family property that she converted into these really cool multiple different types of campsites. It's all inclusive. So we're just going to show up. She's going to help take care of everything. It includes our camping gear, our tents, our kayaks, everything, food. So that one's going to be great. Really excited to
I
kind
love
of,
that one, the summer camp. It's like the
yeah,
for, for adult women. We get to
yes.
go have summer camp again, and it's I love the idea that it's all covered, all inclusive. She cooks for us, so you don't even have to cook. You will sleep in a tent, but there are bathrooms, and there is a shower, so there are facilities. So it's not roughing it necessarily.
It's like a happy in between.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you
not
are sleeping
clamping.
outside in a tent, but
Yeah,
you know you're not having to pack up all your own
no,
gear and try to figure out everything on your own or
yeah,
how to cook over a campfire. You gotta.
yeah.
It's a nice in between.
Yeah, and I know that when we talked to her too, that she has organized this for so many different groups, and so she knows she can give guidance on what to pack and all those types of things too, which I think is fabulous. So yeah, summer camp will be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah,
And one of the biggest features of that one is because it is an island. We're gonna do like one full day of paddling where we paddle all around the whole island, and then we
yeah.
come back and have dinner. And so it'll be a nice kickoff to the summer. And then we have another one at kind of to wrap up the summer, which we have actually got a episode kind of planned around in the future, is whitewater rafting. So this is going to be less of a treat and more of a course experience. So you're going to come out of this with a certificate. Again, it's all inclusive. It's going to be a full weekend of learning how to whitewater raft. And of course, the biggest perk of it is that it's women's only. So you don't have to worry about being self conscious. It's for beginners. So you can have zero experience come into this and you're going to have your hands held the whole time, and all of our instructors are going to be women as well.
I love
So
that one. I think I've always wanted to learn how to whitewater raft. I think a lot of us show up and go whitewater rafting when we're on vacation, but we don't really know what the heck we're doing. So I think actually learning how to do it properly, the technical side of it. Plus, again, all the food is taken care of. You've got accommodation. You're hanging out with the people you're learning with, and you come out with that certificate at the end. So you'll be a certified whitewater rafter. I think that's a great opportunity for a different type of experience for our members.
absolutely. And the reason we planned that one in the first place is because we had so many members of our community say, "Oh, I've always wanted to do that. I just don't know where to learn."
Mm.
Well, we're bringing the learning to you with this one. And one of the biggest perks of this one is everything is on campus as well. So it's not just, it's going to be a nice, intimate experience. We have the entire lodge to ourselves. We'll be riding together. They provide all the transportation. So it's gonna be a nice, easy way to get to learning. So those
Yeah.
are two of our biggest highlights of the summer: private summer camp, and then the private women's course as well.
Yeah, and I know we have others that are in the middle of being organized currently, so we'll have more to
Yes.
come on that. But I think in addition to what's being planned, we've talked about the kind of evolution of our events where we organized. Initially, it was just the meetups, and then we evolved that into overnights and now retreats. And I think that's that big piece of it. I just want to touch a little bit on the feeling of participating in one of the retreats. And I was lucky, along with you, to go to the Crystal River retreat with the manatees. And the feedback we got was, and even the experience I felt was that it was just it's something you can't describe. I expected to go and just participate and have fun, but I really didn't really know that I had experienced it to the depth that I did of connection, um, and just feeling like truly part of a community. All those women, we're now friends on Facebook. We are trying to organize ways of meeting up at the next retreat. So it truly is a different type of magic that happens at these retreats. So yeah, that's the, I think, big part of our future is to keep these evolving so that we can create that great space, the great experiences for women to meet up with other women and experience something really cool and fun. So
Absolutely. And something that was pleasantly surprising to me was that I found out after really, this is our Crystal River was our second retreat. And it was very surprising to me what percentage of the women were actually traveling by themselves, that they
yeah,
didn't know anyone. They, had
yep,
never done a trip like this before. Some of them, this was their first time in a kayak at all
ever, yeah,
or on a paddleboard. Like
yeah,
this is their first time even paddling. It really creates an environment for people to feel comfortable to
yeah,
come and experience that for the first time.
yeah,
Or if you are experienced coming and meeting with people, and it just makes it so much more comfortable to travel alone, and make new
yeah.
friends along the way.
And it was a judgment-free zone for sure. And I did want to touch on too that we have women come from all over the country. We have a lady from Oregon, someone from North Dakota, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Alabama, Florida. So people came from all over the place. So they were truly like hopping on a plane and flying. And some of them even brought their paddleboards with them. So if you think these retreats are just for those who are in that local area, they're not. There are people actually traveling. So you won't be on your own if you decide to travel in from the west coast to an east coast event or vice versa. There will be people, other women who are in the same kind of boat. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that because I actually myself, I am really the only friend in my friend group that's outdoorsy in any way whatsoever. And I think they would rather do anything else other than go paddling with me. So
Yeah.
I love being able to
They
get
don't
with
know what they're
another
missing
group.
out on.
Yeah, I know, I know. But there's only so much convincing you can do. So it's nice to just be able to show up and hang out with a group of women that just get it.
Yeah. Let's pull some layers back because I wanted to share a little bit about so people can get to know you and I a little bit more. Um, so, what's your paddling experience like before you joined on with Girl Paddlers? What's your paddling experience been before that?
Yeah, so I kayak. I actually have never been on a paddleboard before. I know, but that is on the roster this summer is to
Okay,
get on a paddleboard for the first time and try it out. I actually grew up in a water area. I grew up in an area that was smushed right between a river and a lake, so water was always part of my life, but my family were not like big water people. So I actually didn't get to kayak for the first time until I went to 4-H camp in middle school. I tried it out. I was like, this is so fun. I can't believe I'm not doing this all the time.
mm,
And then really didn't get to do much of that again because, I was a kid. My family doesn't do stuff like that. But then in high school, got to go canoeing a couple of times. But my real like obsession with paddling came when I moved to Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston is one of the coolest places to paddle. There are so many different opportunities to get on the water in different ways. Charleston is called Low Country. There's all these different runoff waterways and creeks and parts of the ocean and just rivers that snake through the whole area.
mm.
And so I was surrounded by people who loved being on the water and got so many opportunities to get invited to come out. And there are tons of places to rent kayaks and stuff like that down there. So that's how I really got into it is when I moved to Charleston and got to kind of adventure through the low country.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. And I know that you now what kind of vessel you got a kayak? What can you tell us what it is?
I actually just got owned my first kayak last summer. I have an Oru. It's really interesting. So they call it an origami kayak, and it folds up into like this suitcase situation, and then it folds out into like
That's
this.
cool.
I think it's fiberglass or some kind of like thin fiberglass type of situation. But it folds out into a kayak. And then when you get done, you just fold it
Put
back
it
up
back
into
up.
its little suitcase. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to like really, really go on a big adventure with it just yet because I got it at the end of season. So in the area, I'm in West Tennessee, and in the area I'm in, fall is like super rainy, super
Mm.
stormy, lots of like tornado situations. So I only got to try it out a couple times. So this will be my first full season getting to really take it
Oh,
out.
that'll be fun. Yeah, you need
Um,
to take that with you on some of these retreats.
Oh
That's
yeah,
so
it's
cool.
coming to Madison with me. So
Okay, good, good.
yeah. You said that you paddle both. So how did you get introduced to one or the other? Which one did you start with?
Yeah, I grew up in a beach environment. I grew up in Sydney, Australia, and I moved to the States after traveling around Europe about nearly 30 years ago at this point. So I've been here a long time. And I haven't paddled as much in the US, but I did do a lot of paddling of different varieties and surfing when I was in Australia. So I've always loved the water. I just got stuck into my kind of corporate life and living in cities and everything here in the US. And I never really thought about getting back on the water until I moved to Virginia Beach about 10 years or so ago. And we're surrounded by water there. So it became kind of a no brainer that I should have some kind of vessel. And so I started with a kayak because I felt more secure, I think, in a kayak. I liked the look of paddleboards. I liked the idea of standing on a paddleboard, like similar to surfing. But I hadn't been on the water in a long time, and I most of the paddling was ocean focused near Virginia Beach. So I thought I'd go with a kayak first because I had some security around me, and I hear that a lot from women too, that they start with a kayak because it just feels like a little bit safer than standing on a kayak and a paddleboard and potentially falling off. So I started there, and then my best friend has a paddleboard, and we go out together, and I'd paddle my kayak, and she'd paddle her paddleboard, and she's like, "Give it a try, just get on there." And we call her the bad influence, but she managed to get me on her paddleboard, and I'd go along and paddle on it for a bit. And most of the time, I was sitting on my butt or kneeling on my knees because standing up was, I was a little wobbly, but I got used to it. And so I was like, I need both. So I ended up buying a paddleboard too. And I actually have I have a hard shell kayak, but I have a inflatable paddleboard. So if I'm traveling anywhere, which I can go into detail of my travels, if I travel anywhere, I'll take the paddleboard with me because it's inflatable. If I'm not, then I'll take my kayak and just throw it in the back of the truck and and use that. But for portability and to be able to kind of maneuver around places and ease of use, I take the paddleboard most of the place. So yeah,
It's fun to
that's
have options for both.
yeah. My poor kayak's sitting out currently covered in leaves.
Oh, poor
No,
kayak.
I know. It's sad. I need to clean it. Yeah,
Oh,
maintenance.
goodness. So you have a trip coming up this summer. Are you
I
going to be
do.
doing any paddling during that? Are you
I
leaving those poor guys in the leaves?
I know. I'm not taking the kayak with me. I'm taking the paddleboard with me. So full transparency, I live in an RV, and I have for 8 years with my husband, and we travel and live full time in it. We sold a house, and so this is our space. We both work remotely, so we live in the RV and travel around the US. This year we're heading to Alaska. So we're actually driving up from Florida up through the US, through Canada, up into Alaska to spend a couple of months up in Alaska for the summer. And I'll take the paddleboard just again for ease of transport. I can put it in the back of the truck and take it down to a lake or a river and go paddling. So it'll be a little cold. I'm just not sure. I may try and find some guided tours and do some guided kayaking because the glacial water gets a little chilly on the lakes. So I think I may end up doing that versus paddleboarding on my own. I'm not sure I'm confident enough in myself to paddleboard on a lake in the freezing cold water without freezing and dying. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a cold weather girl at all.
no,
That would not be for me. I would have to have a full dry suit on
yeah.
to even attempt that.
Yeah, and that's a possibility too. I just don't know if I want to take all of that gear. So that's why I think that on the lower states, in the lower 48 as they call it, I'll probably do some paddle boarding on the lakes around here and maybe up through Canada. But once we hit into Alaska, it might be I may just leave the paddleboard packed up and go and find a kayaking tour somewhere and do that. So yeah.
Yeah. Paddling in Canada is actually on my bucket list. There's so many cool,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful lakes out
Mm-hmm.
there. I would love for us to be able to do a girl paddlers trip out there at some point.
Yeah, we should look at the. I'm driving up through the. I think it's the Ice Road Parkway, where it goes up through Banff, Lake Louise, and kind of it goes up through the mountain like it's a mountain pass, a mountain area, and there's these glacial lakes. It's the ones that have that aqua bright blue um,
Yes.
color. So
That has
yeah,
that like the
I'll take
snow
photos.
runoff.
Yeah,
Please do.
exactly. Yeah,
Send me a postcard.
yeah, exactly. So I will
Yeah.
not be joining you on the retreats this year, and I think I just want to share that with our audience too. That as much as I would like to, there's our travels don't always allow me to participate in the retreats, but BobbieAnne will be representing and being there to make sure that there's full support from the Girl Paddler side with all of our retreats. So at least she will be there. Sometimes I'll try and go myself. There's many that I'd love to attend, but it doesn't always coordinate well with our travel calendar. So
Yeah. At minimum, we'll catch her next year at our 2026 Crystal River retreat.
yes, I'll be there along with my best friend Melinda, who was our yogi last this year. She'll also be our yogi, I think, again next year. So yeah, we'll both be there. And I think a number of my friends who have got very jealous, who didn't attend the last one, I think will be attending this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they'll have to get in the spot quick because all the girls that attended this year, a lot of them have already signed up for next year
I
already. So
know. I know it's
yeah,
crazy.
they're ready to get to hang out with each other again, and
Yeah,
it's such a stunning area.
it
So
is.
now you had mentioned a couple of the challenges that comes with traveling with paddling gear and things like that. We actually have a really great episode coming up that's going to be touching on the pros and cons of what you should travel with and choosing between a paddleboard and a boat. So
Mm-hmm.
be looking out for that one. That one's going to be breaking down a little bit of those scenarios that she was just mentioning.
So why don't we dive into that a little bit more? So what can people expect from this podcast, Paddle Her Way, which is presented by Go Paddlers?
So, Paddle Her Way is a bi weekly podcast that's here to celebrate and empower women in the paddling community. We are going to be going in depth with different interviews from people in the community, industry leaders, experts, just people with inspiring stories that we're going to be getting to talk to. And then in between that, we're going to also be doing different episodes on giving tips and recommendations. And as I mentioned, giving pros and con tips like that, that we've got in our upcoming episode, just to help you grow your confidence on the water. So, and as we mentioned before, the community is for all paddlers. So, whether you are a very seasoned paddler or you're just trying it out for the first time, no matter where you paddle, lakes, rivers,
Mm.
oceans, we're going to be able to have some episodes for you to just help you stay motivated, bring you some education, and help you get integrated into the community.
And I think that covers us really well. I think the concept of Paddle Away evolved because we get asked so many questions in our groups, and there's so much information. We are publishing blog posts a couple of times a month, if not more, where we try and provide a lot of resources, a lot of content, a lot of answers to questions that people have at all levels. And we want to take that information and provide it in a way that is accessible to people, not just who want to read it on our blogs, but also if you want to listen to our podcast as you're driving or as you're chilling out on your couch, you can, or as you're paddling, you can listen to our podcast. So that's what we're trying to do here, is really take all the content that we have gathered and stories. And we've got access now to people that have wonderful stories to tell, women who have elevated their lives through paddling in some way, or just have have a great experience they want to share with us. So those interviews, and there's great gear that we've been shared. We've got partnerships with some amazing gear creators, product creators. So we want to share all that with everybody. And I think that's what this platform will allow us to do. So I'm excited about the podcast and kind of taking our brand and extending it a little bit further, even with Paddle Away.
Yeah. And when we were actually discussing creating this, we really kind of realized that there was a huge gap in in the arena of paddling when it comes to podcasting. Nobody's really holding a space for female paddlers,
Mm-hmm.
and or even people in sports and athletes in paddling. I think this past Summer Olympics really gave a huge boost into into a lot of our professional athletes and kind of put some of our female paddling athletes.
Yeah.
I don't know how to phrase that.
Athletes.
Female paddling athletes on the
Mhm.
map.
Mhm.
And so I think I'm really excited to be able to create a platform where we're having more of those conversations and giving you guys the opportunity to learn more about these people and find out how many different ways you can implement paddling into your life, and that it's not just about kayaking or stand-up paddleboarding, but there's a million different avenues that are related to paddling, and I think this is going to be a great space to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, it's all about that experience and what it does for your life, not so much about the vessel or where you're doing it necessarily. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And a lot of these episodes, they're they're coming from questions that are being asked in the community. So a lot of these tips, these are questions that you guys are asking all the time. So I'm excited to be able to bring some more of that information to you. We've got some really cool guests coming up. One of our very first episodes is going to be talking to a national park professional, and she's going to be giving us all the ins and outs about paddling in our national parks. We have a multi-sport guide, Hallie, who's going to be up on the podcast next. And then, of course, we've got some founders of some of our favorite products as well.
I'm excited about all of those. And in between, you and I are going to have conversations about some of our favorite gear and some of the topics that we've covered, what we get asked questions on in our community that we can kind of expand on a little bit and do some research and provide some answers to. So I'm excited for those conversations to happen as well.
I think that covers pretty much
Yeah.
everything that what to expect. Was
Where
there
can
any?
people find us?
Yeah. So, of course, to be able to get more info on the podcast, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads. We're also going to be starting a YouTube channel to give you the video version of all of these podcasts. And then, of course, we would love any recommendations and questions from you guys. You can reach out to us on those platforms. And then, of course, as always, it's very helpful if you could rate the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on.
Yeah, please like, follow, subscribe, all the things. And I think that one thing I wanted to share was that we are, we're heavily tied into that community on Facebook, where we have, I think it's 7,000 members of just the main community. Then we have all the sub communities, community groups as well. And we are looking at how do we evolve that into a different type of space, so that we're not just tied into Facebook and the meta environment, but how do we evolve that? And that's one of the things that will be coming up this year. So, well, obviously, we love hearing from everybody. We love to hearing feedback. We love hearing ideas, or if you're interested in participating in the podcast, let us know. Again, BobbieAnne's our community manager, so reach out to her, or you can reach out to us at hello@girlpaddlers.com. And you can find almost everything at girlpaddlers.com online or on our Facebook page.
And all of our resources and links will be listed in the description on this episode.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks for
Okay.
coming.
How do we want to
Happy
wrap that
paddling.
up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for paddling. Happy paddling.
Yeah. Happy
Yeah.
paddling.
Yeah.
Do we want to say that together or try again? Thanks for tuning in to Paddle Her Way. Happy paddling.
Happy paddling.
Want to do it one more time?
Yeah.
Okay. Happy
Happy
paddling.
paddling.
Close enough. Thank you for tuning in to Paddle Her Way. Happy paddling.